In this video, I'm going to talk about the PPL flight training. I'm going to answer a few questions. What do you expect to learn during your PPL flight training? What do you need to prepare for a navigation exercise? What are the student pilot's common struggles and tips to overcome them? Hey, how's it going? My name is Jane. I'm a flying instructor, charter pilot, and skydiving jump pilot in Australia. First of all, the PPL mini course is finally here. Feel free to check it out, link is down below. Also, if you want me to make a video about something relating to flight training, comment down below about what topics you want me to talk about. Then subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet, so you will see more videos in the future. Anyways, let's get into it. Once you finish your recreational pilot license training phase, you will continue to the private pilot license training. In RPL training, you're learning the fundamentals of flying an aircraft and operating normal and emergency procedures within your training area. If you want to know more about RPL flight training, check out my other video, link is also down below. As for PPL, you will continue to practice and refine all the skills that you learn for RPL and also learn about navigation. Since PPL allows you to fly within Australia, not just the training area anymore, it's logical for students to learn how to navigate. PPL training has around 10 lessons, assuming there is no repeat for remediation. Each lesson will be 2 to 3 hours. So be prepared, the charge after each flight will be a lot more compared to RPL flying lessons. During the 10 lessons, you would learn and practice the following new technical skills. For number 1 to 4, you will learn these skills such as map reading, flight planning, cockpit management, aircraft handling, etc. to handle normal and abnormal situations during navigation for your PPL. For abnormal operations, such as diversion, lost procedure, and low-level navigation, you will learn how to do in-flight planning, handle marginal weather, managing fuel and passengers, etc. The reason why I said these are abnormal operations because this shouldn't be happening for daily flying. You won't be doing diversion or lost procedure every single flight. For low-level navigation, as for a PPL holder, I always suggest safety first, then efficiency second. So in that sense, I would say flying as high as you can is better decision in flight planning because you can see further, you have lower fuel consumption and more height and time to handle emergency situation like engine failure. However, for commercial pilot license, you will need to start thinking about efficiency more. Flying higher doesn't mean better all the time. The wind will be stronger at higher level. If the wind is not favoring your direction of travel, meaning that you have a headwind, you will go slower the higher you fly. Anyways, the main purpose of low-level navigation in PPL flight training is to handle low cloud base or some airspace that only allow you to fly past without clearance at 500 feet. For number 5 and 6, you should have some idea about that during your RPL flight training. Depending where you do your RPL flight training, you might be more familiar with control aerodrome operation because you learn flying out of airport like Bankstown, Camden, Moorabbin, Archerfield, Jandakot, Parafield, etc. They are all control aerodrome. Or you may be more familiar with non-control aerodrome operation because you learn RPL out of airport like Wollongong because it is a non-control aerodrome. During your PPL flight training, you will learn and practice to operate in both worlds. For number 7 and 8, during your RPL flight training, you should have some idea with these skills as well. But now you can travel further at a longer distance and longer flight time with a PPL is even more important. For fuel management, some aircraft like Piper Cherokee only run on one fuel tank at a time, so you will learn when to change tank to balance the fuel quantity of both tanks on the wings, and how to maintain a proper fuel table to keep track of your fuel remaining. The format of each flying lesson during your PPL flight training is similar to RPL. You will have a pre-flight briefing with your instructor, then you go for your flying lesson, then you come back down to have a debriefing. More details will be in the RPL video. During these 10 lessons, you will do 2 solo navigation exercises after solo check with an instructor. It's really awesome for solo navigation. You can fly solo to somewhere away from the training area for up to 3 hours by yourself. Once you have completed the flight training and solo navigation, you will do the mod test, also called pre-license, to assess you if you are ready for the PPL flight test. Then you go for your flight test. Once you pass it, you will have your PPL. So, what do you need to prepare for a navigation exercise? First and foremost, flight planning, flight planning, flight planning. This is the most important part of your flight training and the rest of your pilot life. Remember, prior preparation prevents poor performance. To plan for your navigation, you will need these items. For the navigation equipment, you can get these items secondhand on Facebook or from your friends who don't need them anymore. They are quite expensive. You know, everything is 10 times more expensive when you put aviation in front of the product name. For the flight log, this is an example. Every school will have their own versions, still with all these items, but with different layout. This is the golden paper for your flight. You stick with your plan, meaning that you try your best to maintain your plan level and heading to get yourself from A to B to C to D. If you're not maintaining a constant level, then your aircraft speed will change because you consistently need to climb or descend to adjust your level, which will affect your airspeed. Without a constant airspeed, your planned estimate time won't be accurate anymore. If you're not holding a constant heading, then you are not flying a straight line anymore. Then you will deviate from your planned route. In the worst case scenario, you will get lost. For takeoff and landing charts, you do it exactly how you do it for your RPL training, but you also need to do them for other airports you'll be landing. For the aerodrome charts in ERSA or Country Airstrip Guide, you will need to study them before your flight to learn everything about the airport, like what runways it has, what radio frequencies you should tune in, is there any specific flight operation requirement, etc. For the maps, you will have VTC, VNC, and WAC, which are in different scale, showing you more details or less detail. PCA is another map you will use to check the area number of your trip, the HF frequency and VHF frequency coverage area. For the weather report and NOTAM, you will need to learn how to read all these reports from your aviation theory textbook and VFRG. That will affect your flight plan because of weather, or maybe there is a temporary restricted area. I can't explain the use of every single items in this video, otherwise it will be boring 2-hour long video, but I could make separate video on certain things. Comment down below to let me know what topics you want to know more. When it comes to the whole flight planning thing, some students often under-prepare. Let's talk about some common struggles for PPL flight training and some tips and tricks. Number 1. Student is under-prepared for the flight. First, let's talk about the differences between reading and studying in terms of flight training preparation. For example, you have an aerodrome chart in ERSA. If you read the chart only, it means that you look through the information. Your brain may not register and turn those information into some meaningful information to you. When you study the chart, you look through the information and analyze the important information applicable for your flight. To better prepare your flight, you can make separate notes about each airport you are traveling to. Draw an airport diagram that's meaningful to you, including the runway numbers, circuit direction, location of windsock, etc. Also make notes about the radio frequencies, elevations of the airport, the circuit height, overflight height, etc. Number 2, students struggle to multitask during the flight, like flying the plane, during the flight log, radio calls, and so many different things. Personally, I don't like the concept of multitasking. It's necessary occasionally, but not all the time. I would prefer the concept of prioritization. You prioritize all the tasks that you need to do and also create a timetable. Then you do them one by one, like following a checklist. For example, for the next 10 minutes, you will need to do a radio call for your arrival, do an arrival brief, change the tank, do a position fix, do a top of descent check, and start the descent. For all these tasks, they might seem a lot, but they are rarely to be needed to be done at the same time. You can create a timetable or a checklist with timestamp, assigning all the tasks with a time in an ascending order, like position fix at time 2-3, change the tank at time 3-4, top of descent check at time 3-5, start a descent at time 3-6, radio call at time 4-0, arrival brief at time 4-1. Once you finish one task, cross it out so you know you have done it, and remind yourself what is the next task at what time. If you do have two tasks happening at the same time, you should think about prioritizing between the two. Which task is easier or require less time to complete? Then do it first. For example, you need to change the tank and do a radio call at time 5-6. In this case, of course, changing the tank will require less time to complete. It may take you 10 seconds, then you can do the radio call. Overall, if you need to multitask because of the situation requires you to, sure, you have to do it. But if you can actually prioritize the task and do them one by one, you can keep track of what you have completed and what you haven't. Number 3, students struggle to do math during the navigation exercise. This is really tough. A lot of people, including myself when I first started navigation, struggle with this. Mostly, students struggle with calculating the estimated time for the next destination quickly. For example, you just arrived at point B at time 5-6. The time to travel to point C is 27 minutes. So what is the estimated time of arrival at point C? Then the student will be like, looking at the paper, 56 plus 27, brain just not functioning at all, while they still need to fly the plane. In this case, for me, I will break down 27 into 20 and 7. So time 56 plus 20 minutes is 06 and 16. Time 16 after 20 minutes. Then plus 7, which will be time 23 in the next hour. Or you can break 27 down into 4 and 23. The 4 will complete the hour 60 from the time 56, then add 23 minutes. I'll wrap up the video here so it won't be too long. I will definitely make more videos about navigation tips and tricks in the future. Let me know if you want to know more about certain topics, comment down below. If you find this helpful, please give it a like and subscribe so I can make more videos. Also, shout out to Shane for your donation. Thank you so much. Anyways, thank you for watching. I will see you next time.